So hello and welcome to Conversations with Esther, this 21st February 2024. I see we are quite a number in the room. Yes, I've seen a question from Regina. We had agreed to kick off at 7:10, and I know we've started at 7. Wait, you can't hear me? Letty, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So as is our custom, we begin with a word of prayer. So I will just pray and then we can kick off. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this session. I pray for everyone that has attended, that you will bless them and bless their families, bless their jobs, and bless them in every way. Bless this session in Jesus' name. Amen. So welcome to Conversations with Esther. For those that are joining us for the first time, allow me to project this. I hope you can see that. Today is definitely going to be a marathon. There's so much to share here. So just give me a minute. I need to confirm something here in a minute. Thank you. Yes. Good. Conversations with Esther. Allow me to go in here. Now, let me begin with this one so that we dive into Conversations with Esther. I've been nominated for the second edition of She Awards Africa as part of the nominees from East Africa, and we are requesting that you give us your vote. You can always go to the She Awards Africa link and look for Esther Katiba. We will appreciate your vote for the Founder of the Year category. Over age group is over 30. So just look for over 30. So straight on to Conversations with Esther. And what we do, Conversations with Esther is an impact-driven professional platform that informs, educates, and rebuilds mindsets to ignite ethical and authentic leadership, best practice within industries, while promoting healthy work and workplace environments and relationships. Now, Conversations with Esther equips employees with relevant skills while supporting employers to value, develop, motivate, and retain talent. Guided by our 3 values: integrity, excellence, and impact, Conversations with Esther envisions a world transformed by candid conversations, respectable relationships, and intentional leadership. Now, this is our banner for 2024. 2024, our focus is on prioritizing holistic wellness. Now, we are speaking to your physical, to your mental, intellectual, environmental, spiritual, social, and financial wellness in 2024. And this is how we are doing it. On the screen, you see our 7 pillars of wellness for 2024. January, if you look at the physical part, January, we handled the physical wellness of the people, and we did exercises, we had trainings, and this is how we are doing it in a very different way. What we are aiming at is developing a habit in you of wellness. So physical wellness was January, and we have been doing 5 kilometers per day. That is a walk, not running, not jogging. If you want to jog or to run, it's okay. But the standard one is 5 km walking. Now, we're saying you don't have to get time outside your normal schedule to walk. You can monitor your steps as you continue to run your day-to-day business. Now, February is our mental wellness month, and you see on the pillar, it begins 9th of Feb, ends 8th of March. Now, this is the deal. We don't drop any habit. So January, we did 5 km. February, we are doing the 5 kilometers plus the mental wellness activities that we have put in place. March, we will move into financial wellness, meaning that in March, we'll be doing the 5 kilometers the mental wellness habits, and the financial habits we get. So every month we continue to accumulate. By July, we will be doing the 7 pillars every day. Now, if you're not in our group, we have a wellness group. We will post the link later. But we have a wellness group that we monitor the 5 kms. We post our 5 kilometers. We also post our mental wellness habits. And as we move on, we will keep posting different things and training you on different pillars. So it has been proven that organizations that prioritize holistic wellness stand to benefit greatly, recording improved employee productivity, reduced healthcare costs, reduced absenteeism, reduced presenteeism, improved employee overall health, reduced stress and burnout, improved financial wellness, increased job satisfaction resulting to talent attraction and retention, decrease in employee turnover, happier employees, among others. So welcome to join us in this journey. Now, today we are dealing with supporting staff who are experiencing mental health challenges. Now, this is a critical area for us as leaders, and it's not just a HR thing, because I know people have pushed mental wellness into the HR circles, not to mean HR is not responsible. HR is responsible for it, but every leader and every supervisor and every team player is responsible for this. Now, how do you help a colleague who is dealing with a mental health issue without hurting their feelings or appearing intrusive? Now, truth be told, it can be extremely isolating to be at work while privately dealing with a mental health issue, afraid of being found out, but desperately wanting support. At the same time, it can be uncomfortable, awkward, and confusing trying to navigate how to help or support someone who is struggling, even if you desperately want to help. So that's our topic today, and I would encourage that we send our questions, our comments, and our input as well in the chat box. We will read that later. I'm aware we have psychologists. I have seen John here of IRC. I am sure we have other professionals in the room. So we will appreciate your contribution in this session. The reason I'm saying it's going to be a marathon, I'm not sure we'll be able to finish what we have, but we will do our best. According to World Health Organization, mental health is a state of mental well-being that enables people to cope with the stresses of life. And I keep saying that World Health Organization recognizes that we have the stresses of life, but mental well-being is that state that helps you to cope with the stresses of life. So stress is not bad, stress is present, but being able to cope with it means you're okay. That state also of being able to realize your abilities, to learn well, to work well, and to contribute to your community. Now, mental health conditions include mental disorders and psychosocial disabilities, as well as other mental states associated with significant distress, impairment in functioning, or risk of self-harm. In 2019, look at this, in 2019, 970 million people globally were living with a mental disorder, with anxiety and depression being the most common. You know, when we hear about mental disorders, we think of very huge things. Now look at anxiety and depression. Very many times you'll find yourself very anxious. Now, as we go on, we will find out how to deal with this. Mental health conditions can cause difficulties in all aspects of life, including relationships with family, friends, and community. They can result from or lead to problems at school and at work. Globally, mental disorders account for 1 in 6 years lived with disability. This is very serious. Globally, mental disorders account for 1 in 6 years lived with disability. 1 in 8 people globally are living with mental health conditions. 1 in 8 people. So you count 1, 2, 3, 8 people. One among the 8 is living with the mental health conditions. Now, which can impact their physical health, their well-being, how they connect with others and their livelihoods. Mental health conditions are also affecting an increasing number of adolescents and young people. And this is worrying because the adolescents and the young people are the incoming employees. So if we do not deal with the mental health issues now, then we will have a generation that comes into the workspace with mental health conditions. Now, people with severe mental health conditions die 10 to 20 years earlier than the general population. Very sad. And having a mental health condition increases the risk of suicide and experiencing human rights violation. We all know this. The economic consequences of mental health conditions are also enormous, with productivity losses significantly outstripping the direct costs of care. Now, World Health Organization, and I want you to pay attention to this because we are dealing with a workplace today. Over 50% of the world's population is actively working. So get the 8-point-something billion or thereabout of world population today, over 50% of it is actively working. Now, 15% of working adults live with a mental disorder. 15% of working adults live with a mental disorder. That basically means 1 out of 4. So if you count 1, 2, 3, 4 of the working adults in the workplace, then possibly 1 has a mental disorder. Now, 12 billion working days are lost every year to depression and anxiety alone before we go to any other condition. 12 billion working days are lost every year to depression and anxiety alone. Hence, the need to address depression, anxiety, and the stress. Depression and anxiety alone cost the global economy $1 trillion each year as a result of reduced productivity. Now, this lays a foundation as to why we need to address mental health issues in the workplace. Now, I want to make this clear because I have heard of people that are not able to differentiate between mental health and mental illness. We're talking about mental health. When we want to talk about mental illness, we definitely get the professionals and the medics on board. Now, mental health, again, there is just defined as I have read by World Health Organization, indicators of good mental health, resiliency to stress, flexibility, optimism, productive behavior, self-confidence, ability to take care of self and others. Now, I keep saying self-care is not selfish. You need to be able to take care of yourself and take care of others. A sense of well-being and contentment, empathy, spirituality, stable relationships, respect for self and others. And please note, when it comes to ability to take care of self and others, self comes first because you cannot pour out from an empty cup. It comes back again, says respect for self and others, a sense of belonging and clear thinking. Mental illness is different. Mental illness is defined as a health condition that affects a person's thinking, feeling, behavior, or mood. Such conditions may affect someone's ability to relate to others and function each day. Now, indicators of mental illness: pulling away from people and usual activities, feeling numb or like nothing matters, feeling helpless or hopeless, experiencing severe mood swings, thinking of harming yourself or others, inability to perform daily tasks. Now, employer support is key in determining how well and fast the employee is able to bounce back to peak performance. And that's why we're talking about supporting our colleagues. Now, the employer support is very key. It determines how well and fast an employee is able to bounce back. Now, supporting your employees or team members during these tough times is not only about retaining a valuable staff. You see, sometimes when we support employees, when they're going through a mental health issue, it's usually we are thinking about retaining the valuable staff, but we should think beyond that. It speaks audibly about your organizational values and culture. When an organization fully supports its staff, it generates an element of trust and integrity that produces loyalty and commitment from employees. Now, we will focus on a few areas very quickly. Creating a culture that supports staff to be open about their mental health. We will also focus on having a conversation with someone about their mental health, supporting someone experiencing a mental health problem, and workplace adjustments. Now, how to create a culture that supports staff to be open about their mental health. Number one, leaders need to send a clear signal to staff that their mental health matters. Now, if the culture is not set from the top, it becomes difficult to sustain it. So leaders need to own culture, the organizational culture, whether it's how people are treated or any other culture that you want to set. But when it comes to the mental health issues, leaders need to send that clear signal. They need to speak about it often. They need to be the ones that show the example on how to treat people in the workplace who have mental health issues. Now, assure them that being open about it will lead to support, not discrimination. Now, a person that is going through mental health issues does not want to be discriminated, and nobody wants to be discriminated. They need the assurance that by opening up and speaking about their condition, they will get the support that they need. Now, communicate in the organization that mental health will be treated in the same way as physical health. And that needs to be very clear, including in your medical cover, Someone doesn't need to feel discriminated, like their case is being even discussed in the boardroom because it's a mental health issue. It needs to be treated in the same way as physical health. And as I give talks to different organizations, and there's a question that I keep asking. People don't feel shy to say that they have diabetes or they have something else because they need some care. But because of the stigma we've put behind mental health, people are not able to speak out. So it's the responsibility of the leadership and the organization to build that culture where people need to know that they will be treated in the same way as any other person that has an illness. Then they can speak. And I want to say this, that employees observe what happens. We can say as many times as we want to as leaders that it will be treated the same, or we can put a signal that things will be the same. But if employees identify a colleague that was mishandled and they had a mental health issue, it doesn't matter how much you speak, they will not speak out because they know that their fate is determined. They have seen it happen. So they need to see the leadership treating people with mental health issues the same way as any other sickness. Now, have a clear mental health strategy and specific policies to ensure employees experiencing mental health problems get the support they need straight away. Now, if you don't have the strategy, if you don't have the policies that protect that, then it will be very difficult to sustain it as a culture. Now, because if there are no policies about it, then the next leadership or the next team that comes will not know, they will not be well guided on how to treat employees with mental health issues. Invest in individual relationships between managers and employees. This is a very difficult one. Now, if there's no good relationship between the manager and the employee, then it becomes difficult for that staff to open up to the manager. Now, the manager has to Be intentional about spending time with the team members. And there's this habit of bundling people up together. Kindly mute. Allow me to just mute him. Sorry. So invest in that relationship as a manager. Be intentional about having some time with your team members. If you can, and of course, I know it depends on the number of people you supervise. If you can, then have some time with your team members as individuals. You see, this grouping of team members and asking us if we have challenges as a team, I'm not sure someone will be able to speak out. Kindly, Wesley. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Have a clear, well-publicized channels in place for employees to raise their concern as in the workplace. Now, take positive action promptly when staff seek help. Now, don't delay when staff ask for help. Be quick to show the concern. The next one, I need to move to the next one quickly. Sorry. This. How do I know if someone is experiencing a mental health problem? Now, despite knowing your team members very well, remember that everyone's experience of a mental health problem is different and there may be no outward sign. Managers ought to normalize wellness conversations to create an environment where people can be open. Now, look at this. While you should never make assumptions about people's mental health, some clues or pointers might include behavior change or mood or how they interact with fellow colleagues, notable changes in their work output. So the manager needs to be very keen on any changes in the work output, the motivation levels, and their focus. Now, struggling to make decisions. Staff that are very good in making decisions, if they begin to struggle, then you need to be concerned. The staff that also struggle to get organized or find solutions to problems, you need to get concerned. Signs of tiredness, anxiety or withdrawal, and loss of interest in activities and tasks they previously enjoyed. So this clearly means that the manager has to have his or her eyes constantly on the team members. And if the manager does not understand or does not know the team members well, then it becomes difficult to spot these issues. And that's why I say, despite knowing your team members very well, remember that everyone's experience on a mental health problem is different. So don't treat people as a group. Know your team members as individuals. You can know that Esther is a hyper person. Esther is talkative. Esther is this and this. So when I begin to withdraw, when I have loss of interest in activities that I was the best in the team, then you need to check on me. Now, changes in appetite, and change in appetite actually can be either loss of it or excessive eating habits. You know, I know people that stress eat. There are other people that will not eat. So that's why I'm saying it's really got to be a relationship between you as a leader or team members. They need to understand and to know each other very well. That they know this is me, this is John, this is Mary, this is so-and-so, and this is how they behave. So that change in appetite, change in eating habits, increased smoking or drinking, should signal something. And I know I'm moving very fast so that we're also able to interact. How to have a conversation with an individual about their mental health. Now, this one is very key. Choice of the meeting venue and place. Please make sure that you choose a private and quiet place where the person feels comfortable and equal. Now, equal, I have talked to different counselors and psychologists, and there's a strategy they use. When you go to see a psychologist or a counselor, they make sure that their sitting position is at the same level as you, so that it doesn't distract, so that they also don't look bossy. Sometimes they actually move from their usual office seat behind the desk and come closer to the seat to you, so that they are the same level and it does not look like they are bossy. So make sure that the places you choose are private, they are quiet. Please don't take a colleague to a public place to speak about this. They need to concentrate, they need to feel safe, they need to feel protected, and they need to feel that they are secure and comfortable in that place. Number two, encourage people to talk. Ask simple. Please avoid complicated questions, because it also intimidates the person. Already the person is not in a very good state of mind. So complicated questions will just kind of just ruffle them up. So ask simple, open, and non-judgmental questions. Allow the individual to explain in their own words how their mental health problem manifests, the triggers, how it impacts on their work, and what support they need. Now, as a person trying to help, avoid being the person that speaks too much. That's why I'm saying allow the person to explain in their own words how their mental health problem manifests. It doesn't matter whether you've seen it, you've watched it. Don't be the person giving these answers. Let that person be the one speaking. Let them tell you how it manifests and how the triggers are, how it impacts their work, and what support they need. Now, don't make assumptions. Don't try to guess what symptoms an employee might have and how this might affect their ability to do their job. Now, remember, you're listening to you're speaking to a very sensitive person in this state. So don't be the one pushing everything. Don't be the one speaking. Don't make assumptions, Several people are able to manage their mental health and perform their role to a high standard, but may require support measures when experiencing a difficult period. There are people who could be having a mental health issue, but they're still performing. So be very keen, and it's important for you to also learn to listen. Now, we keep saying, as we train people on communication, listen to understand. Don't listen to answer or to respond. So next is listen to people and respond flexibly. Everyone's experience of a mental health problem is different. So treat people as individuals. Avoid speaking to people and saying, Jane had the same issue, I noticed Mary has the same issue. You're dealing with this person as an individual. So treat this person as an individual. Focus on the person and not the problem. In your conversation, avoid talking a lot about the problem, because already the issue weighs the person down. Focus on how you can help this person. Focus on their strength. Focus on what solutions and support they need. Adapt your support to suit the individual and involve them in finding solutions to any work-related difficulties they are experiencing. Let them be involved. Don't be the person giving solutions. We will do this for you. We'll do this for you. No. Get the person involved in finding solutions to any work-related difficulties, because the person will even tell you, if you allow me to possibly come at this time. Because to be honest, I've been speaking to different organizations, and sometimes I get to have the one-on-one conversation with the employees. I got into one organization, and I will not name it, quite some time back. And about 5 or 6 of the employees were on antidepressants, but the boss and the managers didn't have an idea. So every time they're giving them letters of lateness, absenteeism, and many other things. But this staff said, you know, when I take this medication, it has an impact on me. I'm not able to wake up in the morning, you know. I also have a friend that actually talks about mental health and shares her story. And she says it's very difficult for her to wake up in the morning. Actually, the spouse and the children have learned to go and help her wake up. It gets to the point sometimes these people who are on medication cannot even brush their own teeth. They can't shower, they can't dress up. So if you have an employee like that, and you're not even aware of it, then it begins from a HR perspective, we quickly move into discipline. You know, your lateness, you're a habitual late comer, or you're not performing, and so many other things. It's important also that we also support the people and get to speak to them as individuals. Be honest and clear. Any specific grounds of concern, like high absence levels or impaired performance, address them at an early stage. So if you begin to see areas of concern, absence or lateness and the rest, it is okay to address them very early, but I keep saying, let's bring the human side to the workplace. It is important to sit down with a person and understand why, you know, why they're getting late. Is there anything that you need to know? Is there any support that they need? That way employees will be able to open up. Talking about mental wellness is not as easy as we think. And it's because of the stigma that it comes with in the community. So people tend to hide that. If someone has a headache, they'll quickly say, I have a headache or I have a stomachache. But if someone is on medication for mental illness or something, it's very difficult for them to say. So it is the environment that you create. It is a conversation that you have with them that will help them open up. So again, continuing with that, ensure confidentiality, reassure them of confidentiality. You have to keep speaking and telling them, remember that what we speak with you stays with us. Now, have strict policies to ensure this is adhered to, especially by those you may be required to inform or to disclose to, because if then an employee has an issue and it affects a different department or the CEO needs to know about it, then there needs to be the policies to ensure that that confidentiality is adhered to. Then the employee will be able to open up and others will also be able to open up. Now, this thing of Esther opens up and then the story is all over the organization, it sets that culture that I shouldn't open up. If I share my issues, then they will be all over. So then the policies help so that a person can open up and they are sure that there's confidentiality. And leaders need to be responsible. When someone opens up to you as a leader, it is not your opportunity to tell the world that this person has a problem. Now, obtain permission before you can share what the person has told you. Please obtain permission from the individual, what information they would like shared and with whom. Obtain their permission and tell them, because this affects your work, and the drugs maybe you're taking could make you come to work late. Is it okay if I speak to your manager? Is it okay if I speak to this and this person? Let them give you the permission to share what they have shared with you. Now, develop an action plan. Together with the employee, develop a customized individual action plan, which identifies the signs of their mental health problem. And this one is very key. You need to mark this. The signs of their mental health problem, their triggers for stress, the possible impact on their work, so that if you see that impact, then you know what to do about it, who to contact in a crisis, and what support they may need when this happens. Ensure the plan includes an agreed time to review the support measures, to see everything, to see if they are working. Okay, develop an action plan with a person, customized to an individual. Don't pick a plan that you used for somebody else who has a mental health issue and bring it up for me. Develop one with the individual. I said treat every person as an individual, not as a group. Develop that with them, because they will own it, and make sure that you have time to review. Is it working? Is it helping? What should be done? Crisis, in times of crisis, who should we contact? What triggers this? And so on. Encourage people to seek advice and support. Speaking to their medical provider, counselors should be highly encouraged. If your organization has an employee assistance program, encourage them to arrange for counseling. Seek advice and support for yourself. Now, if the employee or employer relationship has become strained, now, when the performance of this person is not good, when their relationship with other people is not good, then it kind of strains the relationship between this employee and the employer. It is also important that you as the manager, or you as the boss or the organization, can seek mediation, so that that person doesn't feel you're against them. You've tried everything else, you've tried this and this. Then you need to have a neutral person who will be a mediator when, if that is only if the relationship between you and this employee is strained or confrontational. Now, reassure people. Employees may not always be ready to open up immediately. It's therefore important that you outline what support is available. Remind them that your door is always open for them, and let them know you will make sure they get the help they need. That reassurance goes a long way. Now, how to support someone experiencing a mental health problem? Be positive. Please avoid negativity, because that person is drained. That person is looking up to you for help and for hope. So be positive, focus on what the employees can do rather than what they can't do. You can do this, you're able to do this, you're able to deliver this, you've delivered these results before. Focus on the positive side. Work together and involve that employee in finding solutions for their problem. Again, I said, don't be the person bringing to the table solutions. Bring on board that employee and look for solutions together. When it comes to identifying the support or adjustments they need and how to manage their triggers for poor mental health, they remain the experts. They are the ones that in most cases will tell you, this is what happens, and when I rest for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, I am back on my feet again. So allow them to be part of the solutions in the adjustments. Or some of them will say, I take this medication, or I'm not good at showing up very early in the morning, or I work better in the evening or in the morning. Let them be part of the solution. Now, changes, some ways also to support could be changes to the role itself, temporary or permanent. A few things can be changed within the workplace. Task reallocation or changes in the job description and duties, that can still be done to support the employee. Redeploy them to a more suitable role, or training and support to apply for vacancies and secondments in other departments or other functions. So that could also work. You can reallocate them, you can redeploy them, you can train and support them, and also get them to, or move them to other departments. Maybe if that function or department is where the stressors are for them. Extra support, I think we are almost done. extra support, increased supervision or support from the manager, avoid work overload. I'm not saying don't give them the work they need to do, but avoid the work overload and ensure that they prioritize rest. You already know they need help. You know that there are people you're working to support. So avoid the overload, avoid what triggers. If it's the overload that triggers their mental health issues, then avoid it as a manager and increase the supervision and support. Extra training, coaching, and mentoring would do. Extra help with managing and negotiating the workload. It is important to keep track of the person and their workload. More positive and constructive feedback. Keep encouraging the person. Keep giving positive and constructive feedback to the person. It helps. It's therapeutic in itself. Debriefing sessions after difficult calls, especially if this person is in the position where they get to interact with very difficult customers or they handle very difficult tasks. Ensure that you have debriefing sessions. How was it? What can we do? You know, what could have made you upset, or what should we have done about this, or something like that. Just get a debriefing session. Get to speak to them so that they let it out. Now, mediation can help if there are difficulties between colleagues. If then the relationship between this person and the colleagues is strained, then you need to get a mediator in between. Mental health support group or disability network groups. Identify a safe space in the workplace where the person can have some time out, contact their buddy or other sources of support, and access self-help. And I think I need to say this. This is not just for people with mental challenges. I think it's important for organizations to have that space where people can just sit and unwind, you know. You will tell me, Esther, we don't have that space. But then it is important to allow your members, if then the pressure is very high, allow them to also take walks around. Provision of self-help information, whatever information that they can have at their fingertips would be important. Encourage people to work on building up their resilience and doing things that support good mental health, such as exercises. I know organizations that provide gym services, and it doesn't have to be an expensive thing. Let me say this. It could just be normal stretching exercises within the organization. I've seen one organization that just makes sure that their staff will stand up after 1 or 2 hours and stretch and just ensure that your people are keeping fit. You can join our 5-kilometer walk again. That's what we are trying to do. This is the culture we want to build. Meditation also helps. Eating healthy meals. Keep training your teams. Keep speaking to your teams about their diet, about their exercise, about the quiet time, their meditation, about getting enough sleep. Because then if they're also not getting enough sleep, eventually they become the agitated people, the tempers go high, they're not functioning well, so everything about it just goes bad. Now, encourage people to be more aware of their mental state and reflect on what factors affect them in the workplace. Now, understanding yourself, being aware, self-aware. Being self-aware is very key. Knowing that this is what triggers my moods. This is what triggers anger. This is what triggers this for me. Then that way you're able to manage yourself. Now, provide regular opportunities to discuss, review, and reflect on people's positive achievements. This helps to build up positive self-esteem and develop skills to better manage their triggers for poor mental health. Now, workplace adjustments, and I think this should be our last one. Adjustments for mental health are generally simple, practical, and cost-effective. As employers explore with the individual their specific needs, and be as creative as possible when thinking about how to address these issues. Now, changes to how people perform their roles, this can be done to just accommodate this, flexible hours or change to start or finish time. And as I said, if you have employees that are also taking medication and having issues, then you can have flexible hours and the finish time. Change of workspace, quiet places, more or less busy, the ambience of the place. Working from home, changes to break times, provision of quiet rooms. Now look at this one, light box or sit with more natural light for someone with seasonal depression. A place that has natural light for people with seasonal depression. Return to work policies, e.g. phased return, reduced hours gradually building up, relaxing absence rules, especially for people that have an issue, relax the rules of absenteeism, because you fully understand what they are going through. You understand that either they are on medication or the body is just not responding right. It's possibly just for a season. The limits for those with disability-related sicknesses and all those agreements to give an employee leave at short notice. Now, let's also have flexible rules. And I know sometimes some organizations will say, if you don't give us notice within maybe 7 days or 2 weeks, you can't take leave. Now, remember, this could be a person that something just triggers their health issues. So you need to be flexible enough to allow this person on short notice to take time off or to go for appointments or related to their mental health, such as therapy and counseling, so that you don't come and say, no, it's not 2 weeks notice, it's not a week's notice. Just understand and be flexible. And I think that is the end of that one. I hope you took home something. Allow me to just brief you on this one before we go to the questions and comments. Now, to close our mental health month, we will be visiting families with children that have cerebral palsy in Kitui. That should be on 2nd of March, 2024. So we are inviting you to partner with us. We are asking for your support. That's my number. You can possibly take a photo of that screen on the screen. That's my number and that's the email. We will appreciate your cash contribution. There's a pay bill number there, 247247, account number 4677697. Now, please remember to send me with that number. That number has a WhatsApp. You can send me the message that you will have deposited with. I would like to personally thank you for the support. Now, we also welcome contributions in cash or in kind, dry food, toiletries, beddings, and all the rest. And thank you for that. That will be on 2nd. We're also inviting you to come. You can go with us. We're inviting the psychologists and counselors in the room to go with us. The parents of these children go through a very, very difficult time. I think we have about 20 families that have children with cerebral palsy that will be showing up there, and they need counseling, they need help. It's difficult to raise challenged children. It's not easy. So what we are doing is that we are actually taking counseling services to the parents of these children. So thank you very much. Feel free to check out our YouTube Conversations with Esther Katiba. Follow me on LinkedIn, Esther Katiba. Check our Instagram at Conversations with Esther, and feel free to drop me an email at info@conversationswithesther.org. Asante sana. I think I need to stop sharing so that we get the feedback. So let's get the feedback from the team. I hope you have learned. How, Esther, is it possible to share the presentation? Now, please go to our YouTube. We will upload this immediately after this. I will upload it on the YouTube so that you can also keep watching and you can share it out with other people. Our YouTube is Conversations with Esther Katiba. So you will get it on the YouTube in a few. Now, thank you, Esther, for this. I attest to the clues. It happened to me, and finally, I had to leave the workplace. Many institutions have no policy on this in our country, and that's why we are here. We are working with different organizations to have the policy, the strategy, and also to bring to you conversations in your organizations around mental health. That's what we are doing because your mental wellness is important. Thank you very much for this presentation. Esther, is it possible to support? It is possible to support employees. Keep it up. Thank you, Rita. Letty says, thank you so much. At least I haven't learned how to approach someone who's going through this, but I hope now you can do it, Letty. I hope now you can do it. Keep watching this. I know it will help you. It will be on our YouTube, Conversations with Esther Katiba. Remember to subscribe so that you're also able to watch very many other sessions that we've had. Congratulations, Esther. Keep it up. Thank you, John. And thank you for joining. I realized you are in mental health as well. Thank you. I know we have, is Gladys in the room? I don't know that Gladys Mugambi is in the room. Yes, very informative. We will partner in this. Thank you, Gladys.
Yes,
Good. Gladys, do you want to speak to us?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I'm Gladys Mugambi. I work for the Ministry of Health. I'm responsible for health promotion. So I found this very interesting and thought I should join so that we can partner. So thank you very much. This is the first time I'm joining your webinar.
Thank you. Thank you, Gladys. Asante sana for joining. And I believe we will work together in this. I see it's exactly 8 p.m. Regina says, I have really learned on how to help healthcare workers. Absolutely. Let's keep in touch. Feel free to speak to me. Go to the LinkedIn. Follow me on LinkedIn, Esther Katiba. If you have a question, feel free to speak to me and continue watching our YouTube. Asante sana, I've really learned, very informative. Hope to work together. Absolutely, Triza. Asante sana, much I will walk with you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana. Have a good night. God bless you, and let's take care of ourselves as we take care of everybody else. Thank you and have a good night.